Now my topic of the day. She also suggested that I should speak on Kamma. This is most widely spoken, recommended, discussed subject, which also is at the same time mostly misunderstood subject. Misunderstood because whenever anything goes bad, any mental or physical things go bad, they attribute that bad to Kamma. What to do? That is my Kamma. When everything is going on well, good health, good salary, good place, good relatives, good friends, then they say, thanks God. All the good they attribute to God, all the bad they attribute to Kamma. That is one misunderstanding. Kamma doesn't belong to God or one other beings. Kamma is what we do. Some people think Kamma is the law of action and reaction. That is not true either, because it is just a physical law. Every action has a reaction according to physics. Every action has a reaction. And Kamma is not like that. If every action is Kamma, then there is no liberation because always something or other is happening, and therefore that also is not Kamma. Kamma needs something more than that. That is our thought, Jhana, thinking. When we think and do things, that can become a Kamma. And therefore I like to define the word Kamma. Listen very carefully and try to understand the meaning or definition of Kamma. Any thought, word or deed committed intentionally by a person whose mind is not free from greed, hatred and delusion is Kamma. Let me repeat it. This is heavily loaded and most comprehensive definition. Any thought, word or deed committed intentionally by a person whose mind is not free from greed, hatred and delusion is Kamma. This means the one whose mind is free from greed, hatred and delusion does not commit Kamma. Who is that person? That is an enlightened person. The Buddha, Arahants, their minds are free from greed, hatred and delusion. And therefore they talk, they give instructions, they advise people. These are not their Kammas. And any other person who is not enlightened commits Kamma if he or she commit that thought, word, deed with an intention. This intention can be wholesome intention, unwholesome intention. If the intention is unwholesome, that is bad Kamma, wrong Kamma, papa kamma, akusala kamma. If it is full of loving friendliness, thought of renunciation, thought of compassion, without greed, hatred and delusion, that is wholesome karma, good karma. And we must say, we commit, when we talk about karma, I also like to mention punya and kusala. Punya kamma, kusala kamma. Punya kamma and kusala kamma, they both sounds alike. Punya and kusala. Punya is the thing that makes us happy. Whenever we say something, do something, think something that makes us happy, that is called punya. We do many things, we say many things, and we think many things to make us happy. And they are, if without greed, hatred and delusion, they are punya. Kusala is much higher than that. Kusala is the quality controller of punya. When we commit punya, we can live in samsara, live a happy life, human happy life, divine happy life, and even go to Brahma realms with punya. Kusala is the one that gets us out of this samsaric existence. Punya keeps us lingering in samsara, experiencing joy, pleasure, happiness, and peace, and so forth. We experience all these things while existing in samsara. But punya will not bring us out of this samsara. Wherever we are, in whatever lifestyle we live, suffering is there. And therefore, no matter what healthy, happy, powerful, prosperous life we live, suffering is there. And therefore, so long as we live in samsara, suffering, we live with suffering. Why is that? Whatever is impermanent is suffering. Yada nityam tan dukkham. Every samsaric existence is impermanent. Human life, animal life, divine life, Brahma life, all lives are impermanent. Therefore, suffering is there. And therefore, we have to commit kusala. Kusala means skill. Skill is to liberate ourselves from this repetition of birth and death. Living in samsara is so enticing. Somebody might say, why I want to attain liberation when I have very delicious, luxurious, delicious meals. I can have chicken, beef, mutton, pork, fish, lobsters, all kind of food I can eat and have a wonderful taste. Why should I get rid of them? They are very pleasant. I have beautiful people to live, boys, girls, men, women, animals and so forth. Why should I get rid of them? But friends, at the same time we must remember, any pleasure has pain in it. So this is why I say, you buy one, get one free. What you get free, you don't buy. It comes in the same package. You cannot say, I don't want pain, I only want pleasure. It is not going to work. Where there is pleasure, there is pain as well. And therefore, no matter how long we exist in what kind of pleasure we experience, we have suffering. And therefore, we have to understand the difference between punya kamma and kusala kamma. Not only wholesome kamma and unwholesome kamma. Then, I tell you the few examples of how subtle the kamma, in order to show how subtle the kamma is. If you read Maha Kamma Vibhanga Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, you can see the subtlety of kamma. Suppose somebody attain jhanas and develop superhuman knowledge. With that superhuman knowledge, one of those superhuman knowledge is seeing other beings dying and taking rebirth. So, suppose one person attains superhuman knowledge and seeing somebody committing wholesome kamma, always doing wholesome things, punya kamma, and then after death, this person would be reborn in woeful state of existence, like an animal. Then the one who saw this would tell the world, no matter what you do after death, you will be reborn in bad place. Because I saw it with my own supernatural mind. If anybody says anything else, that person is wrong. And Buddha said, this person who saw this and said, whatever you wholesome did you do, you will be reborn in woeful state of existence. Buddha said, that person is wrong. Again, another person who commits all bad things, after death he is born in heaven. So this person who saw him born in heaven would conclude that no matter how bad you are, after that you go to heaven. Very easy. And I saw this with my supernatural eye, and if anybody says anything differently, that person is wrong. Third person would say, I saw somebody doing wholesome things, after that he was born in heaven, and therefore all those who do wholesome things will be reborn in heaven. That's what I saw with my supernatural mind, and therefore I am right. Anybody says anything differently, he is wrong. Buddha said, again, the third person is wrong. Fourth person would say, if you do something bad all the time, after that you will be reborn in bad place. I saw this with my supernatural mind, and therefore I am right. Anything else anybody else says is wrong. Buddha said all these four people are wrong. Why is that? They have not seen the whole picture. They have seen one side. Every action has reaction. That kind of belief. This person has not developed his mind to see the whole picture. Buddha said, why all of them are wrong, all the four people are wrong, Because at the moment of death, the person who has been doing all wholesome things, everything he did in his memory was wholesome. But at the moment of death, if he has done some very, very heavy karma, or if that heavy unwholesome karma is repeating itself in his mind, that becomes the prominent karma at the moment of death. And according to that, that person can take rebirth in a place, in a wrong place, unwholesome place, even though he has done wholesome things apparently all the time. Similarly, if somebody has been doing all bad things, he might have done something very good, then that may come to prominency at the moment of death, then he will be reborn accordingly. Therefore, unless we saw the entire karmic procedure, karmic mechanism, we cannot conclude what the karma would do at the moment after that. Now, there is a discourse in Samyutta Nikaya that is called Sankadhamma. Sankadhamma. That way, in that the summary of discourse was one conch blower was a follower of Niganthanatha Putta, and he came to see the Buddha. Then the Buddha asked him, "What does Niganthanatha Putta teach?" He said, if somebody kills living animal, living being, he will be reborn in hell. There is no any other destination. Then Buddha said, in that case, nobody will be born in hell. How is that? So Buddha asked this man, Sankadhamma, do you know how long this person takes to kill an animal? Not too long, very short period of time he takes to kill the animal. Then Buddha asked, what does he do the rest of the time? He doesn't kill. So, does he spend more time in killing or less time in killing? Very small period of time he spends fully. And the rest of the time he does not kill. Therefore, what is heavy, or what he has done more, that would be his, that would remain in his mind. The period that he did not kill will remain in his mind, because that is the greatest part of his life. And therefore, you cannot determine by appearance, superficial appearance, that person has done wholesome or unwholesome. All depends on the state of mind. On the state of mind. And the state of mind, you don't know, I don't know, if you commit, you only knows. No. I don't know about your state of mind. And therefore, Buddha said, Kamma is determined by the state of mind, and that is why we hear that very famous statement called Chetanaham Bhikkhave Kammang Vadami. Thought or thinking, monks, do I declare a Kamma. Thought, intention. And therefore intention is extremely important. You know, when there's a killing, there are 5 conditions that one must complete to complete the killing. What are the 5 conditions? Number 1, that a being, living being. Number 2, your knowledge that it is a living being. Number 3 is intention. Number 4 is a method, a way of killing. Number 5 is using only that method you kill. Only when these 5 conditions are complete, the killing is complete. If one of these conditions is lacking, killing is not complete. You know, when somebody comes and attacks you physically, at that time you also, for self-defense, use your hands and legs, you attack the other person, your assailer, you attack. However, perhaps you know the martial art or something, your blow will land on the most vital part in the other person's body, and he dies. You did not have any intention to kill him, you simply wanted to defend yourself. Even if you are charged in the criminal court and the judge will conclude it is culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Why? It was not premeditated killing. That means even in the criminal law, intention is counted. So in the Kamma, intention is extremely important for both wholesome as well as unwholesome. I gave unwholesome example for unwholesome. For the wholesome, also you may do certain things without any intention. And suppose you throw food item and fruit or something, and somebody very hungry was over there, he simply pick up and eat it. So you have not committed wholesome Kamma because you did not have any intention to feed that person or that animal or something. Similarly, when you clean the place, on the other hand, on the unwholesome Kamma, clean a land, you find rocks, you remove rocks and throw the rocks and land it in an animal, and the animal dies. You do not have any intention to kill that animal. See, therefore, intention is extremely important. Therefore, understanding Kamma is very important. Along with understanding, you have to understand the intention is important for committing Kamma. That's why in the Noble Eightfold Path, number 1 is understanding. Number 2 is intention, right intention. Understanding itself is very important, and intention is even more important. So, suppose somebody is living, there are various aspects of Kamma to talk about. suppose sometimes you steal maybe little apple or cherry fruit or something from a grocery store. You will be charged, maybe taken to the police custody and charged. And somebody else may steal a big bag full of cherry. Nobody will charge him. Why is that? That person is very influential person, powerful person, big politician, rich man. He can steal whole bag of apple or cherry. Everybody keeps quiet, don't talk about it. He's an influential person. He can harm you. He can hurt you. He can even kill you. Don't talk about it. But if a poor person steal only one cherry, one apple, he will be charged because he is not influential. It is just like Buddha has given a very beautiful simile, it's called Lonapala Sutta. That is, suppose you take a small lump of salt and put into a small cup of water, that water will be very salty. But if you take the same lump of salt and put into a big lake or river, it doesn't taste salty at all. Why? The amount of water in the lake or the river is very large volume. Similarly, if you have done something very wholesome, lot of merits, and at the same time you have done one unwholesome things, the most wholesome thing will be more effective than that small unwholesome thing. And therefore that also is to be taken into consideration when we talk about Kamma. Before I want to stop soon, I want to say how the intention becomes most powerful factor of Kamma. Is for intention there has to be 4 stages. What is Anusaya stage? Anusaya means underlying tendency. Anusaya, they are defilements, but they are dormant, lying. Saya means sleep. Anusaya means sleeping along. That is, they are sleeping. Anusaya. Then Pariyuttana. Pariyuttana means when something arises through our senses, through 6 senses, when something enters the mind, then suppose greed is underlying tendency. Greed, hatred and delusion, these are the underlying tendencies. One greed, one moment is your greed is sleeping. Something arises through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. At that time, your greed is become active. That is Pariyuttana. Pariyuttana means getting up. Then that active state is getting involved through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind to commit something. That involvement is called weighty Kamma. Kamma means going, becoming active, more active. Kammu comes from the root, the Kammu dhatu root. Then that is going, becoming active. That is the 3rd stage. 4th stage is called Kammapata. Kammapata. weighty kamma, and kamma. Then we commit the kamma. Then we have 3 stages before we make the intention. And that is why when we practice meditation, becoming mindful, and then when we are mindful, we can see these stages, giving us time to stop. Another stage, if we cannot stop, we can stop at the pariyuttana stage. If we cannot stop there, we can say vitikama stage. If these 3 stages we bypass, and then we commit the kamma. So we are given 3 chances to stop it, and we ignore all these 3 chances and let it happen. Then we are unmindful, then the kamma is committed. Similarly, for the wholesome mindfulness, also these 3 stages, we develop mindfulness at the first stage, second stage, third stage, and 4th stages. And therefore mindfulness is perfect, complete. Now, question time. Right? Question time. Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
I think Eileen has sent me questions. They are in front of me. The
Yes.
first question is, Dear Bhante, did Buddha categorize kamma into weighty kamma, death proximate kamma, habitual kamma, or reserve kamma, or were these later addition in commentaries? Yes, they are later addition in commentaries. Buddha did not categorize kamma in this way. But he has categorized kamma in another way. That is 5 categories of kamma. They are actually lumped together as heavy kamma. That is called pancha anantariya kamma. Unwholesome anantariya kamma, wholesome anantariya kamma. Unwholesome anantariya kammas are killing mother, killing father, killing an arahant, wounding the Buddha with unwholesome intention. Wounding the Buddha, we have to understand very clearly. When the Devadatta threw a stone, a small splinter hit the Buddha's foot and it was injured, then Jivaka came and he has to cut to remove the blood to heal the wound, to apply medicine. He cut it, the Buddha's foot, not with bad intention, with hatred, with loving friendliness, out of compassion, he did that. That is not considered to be bad karma. And that doesn't fall into wounding the Buddha karma. Then the 5th is creating schism among the united community of Sangha. These are the 5. On the wholesome side, 5 are attaining 5 jhanas, 4 mundane jhanas and all other immaterial jhanas, 4 material jhanas and all other 5 immaterial jhanas. So, in fact, if we want to count them separately, there are 8 wholesome heavy kammas, that is ananja kamma, imperturbable kammas. When we describe kamma as sankhara, punyabhi sankhara, apunyabhi sankhara, ananjabhi sankhara. Punyabhi sankhara means unwholesome kamma, wholesome kamma. Apunyabhi sankhara is unwholesome kamma, and ananjami kamma means imperturbable kamma. These are the categories that Buddha has made. Other categories are found mostly in commentaries. Then, next question, how to reduce bad karma when one has broken the 5 precepts? Okay. Friends, we are people observe the precepts and they break. And therefore they must, once they understood that they have broken precepts, that is a very good moment, because the person realized that this is wrong. I have committed these things that they were bad. Now that is the time the person must make a determination not to repeat it again. So from that time onward, reverse, change it, and determine from now on I don't commit this, I don't break this precept. Next time one might determine today onward I don't break this precept. Another time you can think from this time onward I don't break this precept. Another time you can think I don't break this precept. At least 5 times, 5 occasions you determine I will not break this. Such a person, Buddha said, yassa papam katang kammam kusalena pitayati so imang lokang pabhaseti abba mutto chandima. That means when one determines not to commit their wrong karmas, and then from that time onward commit wholesome karmas, good karmas, the opposite of it, that person will shine like the moon free from clouds. That person will shine like the moon free from clouds. Because the person has committed and admitted, I have done such and such a thing because of my ignorance and greed, because I was in wrong company, wrong association, wrong place, wrong mental state. Now I am out of that. From that time onward, I will not commit it. So we have the ability to change and choose and exercise our freedom. Third question, what is the function of jhanas? Must one have jhanas in order to have insight or wisdom? The word jhana is used in general meditation. Jhana in general meditation. Second, there are 2 categories of jhanas, mundane jhanas and supramundane jhanas. So when we use the word jhana to denote meditation, that is what we need to gain wisdom. That means you need concentration. You need to overcome hindrances. Without overcoming hindrances, you cannot gain wisdom. Each of these hindrances, the very word hindrance, you can see the meaning of hindrance. Hindrance means something that will blocks, prevents, put barricades, and we have to remove the barricades. Without removing the barricades, you don't get the key to open the wisdom. The first thing we have to overcome these barricades. hindrances. That does not mean that we have attained the jhana per se, but we gain good concentration. It is called jhanic quality concentration. I tell you examples, few examples. You read Upali Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. When Upali had a discussion with the Buddha, while sitting discussing, you cannot attain jhanas. But he was able to overcome hindrances. That instant he attained the stage of enlightenment, first level, Sotapanna. Second, Suppa Buddha, leper, who had skin disease. He was a beggar named Suppa Buddha. Listen to Buddha's talk, Dhamma talk. At the end, he attained the stream entry. While listening, you cannot attain jhanas, but you can overcome hindrances. Third and the most famous is Bahya Daruchirya. Bahya Daruchirya, Buddha gave very brief instruction. That instant he attained full enlightenment, not with jhana. And the fifth example is Kamma in Samyutta Nikaya. Kamma, Venerable Kamma was teaching Dhamma to other monks, and they were listening. While teaching Dhamma to them, Venerable Kamma attained enlightenment. All the other elderly monks who were listening to it attained full enlightenment. So all one has to do is to overcome these hindrances. Of course, Venerable Kamma and these monks had overcome hindrances long ago. They even had attained the third level of enlightenment. So it was very easy for them. Others who have attained the stages of enlightenment attained at that time without jhanas. You remember these examples. Then, fourth question. How do we advance spiritually? To advance spiritually, friends, we have to practice what is necessary for spirituality. What is necessary? One does not have to renounce the world, renounce their household life to advance in spiritual life. There may come a stage where they want to go for the final. Before that, as lay people, one must start practicing the observing the precept. For instance, first precept, if one observes not killing, and then one start practicing spiritual life. Stopping the second precept, breaking the second precept, then advance little more. Stop breaking the third precept, then person advance more. Stop breaking the fourth precept, advance more. Stop breaking the fifth precept, advance more. So you have 5 steps. And then, if you like, observe 8 precepts. And each time you undertake additional precepts, principles, commitments, you advance spiritually. Now, this is the sort of self-promotion. Only you know you are advancing. Only you know. I cannot give you certificate. I cannot give you Sotapanna certificate, Anagami certificate, Jhana certificate. I don't give you a test to answer this question. So you yourself make the questions, you make yourself the examiner, supervisor, you make yourself the student, and you give the pass mark, tick off yourself. That you can do with honesty, sincerity, 100% personal integrity. You have to have personal integrity. We are not doing anything to please somebody. No way. And therefore, that is how we spiritually advance. And then, when you think about yourself, you count the amount of precept, not the precepts, just counting yourself, looking at yourself, you can be very happy. I am so happy. I am in such and such a state. I don't want to display in public, not go to mass media, Facebook, email, Twitter, so whatever media is there. I don't want to go to media. I don't even want to tell somebody else, even one person. I know it myself. Next question. Why is the underlying tendency to neutral feeling is ignorance? What should we do in moments of these neutral feelings? That was a good question. Why the neutral feeling has underlying tendency of ignorance? Because in the first place, the person does not know what is neutral feeling. They all know pleasure or pain. They don't know neutral feeling. When somebody asks you, how are you? I'm happy. Oh, I'm sad. Nobody says, how are you? I'm neutral. You don't hear that. Actually, what is in between pleasure and pain is neutral. What is between pleasure and pain is neutral. Now, sometimes you have pleasure, sometimes you have pain, sometimes you don't have any of these things, these two sort of extremes. So what is in between is neutral feeling. Why delusion is underlying tendency of the neutral feeling? Why? What is delusion? Delusion is not knowing very, very important thing. You know, when you use the word delusion in psychology, that is the kind of sickness. You need to see a psychologist, psychiatrist, psychotherapist. That Buddha did not mean that. That is another extreme of delusion. Delusion is called ignorance itself. What is ignorant of? Ignorant of impermanence. Neutral feeling is not permanent. Neutral feeling also is impermanent. Not knowing that is called underlying tendency of ignorance. What you call neutral feeling is ignorance. Not knowing impermanence. Remember, neutral feeling is not permanent. There are two other waiting. Either pleasure is waiting or pain is waiting to invade neutral feeling. When pain is late, pleasure will invade. When the pleasure is late, pain invades. So these three are competing. These three feelings competing. Okay, next question. Is metta passive or active quality? Who is the one generates metta if there is no self? This is the if you ask this question, ask the Buddha, Buddha said, not valid question. Rather, Buddha would correct the question. So, how to correct the question? Buddha said, if I have told you that somebody, a person, is doing this, then the question would be valid. But the metta, on the first part of the question is metta passive or active quality? It is very active quality. As long as it is a feeling. When we express it through words and thoughts and deeds, then it becomes active. The metta has three levels. Verbal level, feeling level, and thinking level. First verbal, then thinking, and then feeling. We first verbalize it, and then we think of it. These two stages are active. When it comes to feeling, it is passive. We just feel, no words, no action, just feel that I am one with all living beings. There is no word to put there, just a feeling. Any feeling is not a word, it's just a feeling. You just think of the kind of feelings you have. Only you know the feeling, no one else. We may use various types of words to express feelings, but we can never completely express the feeling. So, it can be passive as far as the feeling goes, it can be active as far as thinking and verbalizing goes. And then, who is generating metta? It is the feeling that arises, generate the thought, that generate the word. Not a one particular person. It happened in a person, But without the feeling you cannot think and express it. Okay. The next question is, Bhante, how do you meditate? What objects of meditation does Bhante use? You see, I meditate as I mentioned earlier, as I gave you instructions, but that is not a secret. My meditation is on impermanence. Impermanence. Meditation or impermanence is all-encompassing meditation, all-encompassing. Buddha said in Samyutta Nikaya, there is a discourse called Anicca Sanya Sutta. Anicca Sanya Sutta. He gave 10 similes to explain Anicca Sanya Sutta. I give you only one of them. That will enlighten you and understand how important anicca or impermanence is. First I tell you the simile that Buddha mentioned in that discourse, Anicca Sanya Sutta. The last simile is, suppose in autumn all the leaves on trees are gone. Trees are all barren, dead trees. The sky is free from clouds, blue sky. At that time, sun rises. Just imagine when the sun rises at that time, anyone who has good eyesight can see any visible object. Any visible object. Why? No clouds, no shades, and the sun shines. Similarly, Buddha said, when you practice impermanence, you can see impermanence in everything. In everything. No exception. Everything is impermanent. That's why Buddha says, Sabbe Sankhara Anicca. All conditioned things are impermanent. Now just focus the mind on yourself for a minute. There are, biologists say that there are 56 trillion cells in our body. 56 trillion. Every cell needs oxygen to survive. Every time we breathe in, we breathe oxygen into our lungs and purify the blood. That goes to heart. Heart pumps and it sends the oxygen-rich blood cells throughout the body to recharge every cell of this 56 trillion cells. This must happen every fraction of a second, actively rising and falling, rising and falling, rising and falling, every cell in this body. And that is the universal rhythm. Every atom, every molecule, every quark in the universe is in that state, changing, changing, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling. And that is my meditation. That I see in me, I see it happening to me. Anytime I stop and start practicing, focusing my mind, that's what I see. I, without any hesitation, any doubt, advise anybody to do that meditation. In the Vipassana meditation, friends, that's what we see. And that is what the Buddha saw before, Vipassi Buddha, Vipassi, Sikhi, Vesabu, Kakusanda, Konagama, Kassapa, Gautama, 7 Buddhas practiced this. Vipassi Bodhisattva saw the Vipassana Magga, Vipassana method. Our Gautama Buddha saw Vipassana method. As soon as he saw Vipassana method, he gave up all his previous teachers. Alara, Karama, Uddaka, Ramput and so forth. They also were meditators, gaining jhanas, highest jhanas, never attain enlightenment. They still continued to linger in samsara. So Siddhartha Gautama Bodhisattva realized this is the Vipassana path, the path of impermanence. You see in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Anapanasati Sutta, Girimananda Sutta also begin with Anicca Sanya, Girimananda Sutta, Dasanya, Anicca Sanya, and so forth. And we are impermanent. We were not all born like this. See now, look at you, look at me. We were not born like this. We were born as one cell, one cellular being. One cell multiplied, proliferate. And this multiplication, proliferation is an active part of impermanence. One disappears, another appears, others appear, disappear. And this continues all the time, all our life, all living beings, all existing beings. This is the thing that is happening all the time. This is a very powerful meditation. Out of all, you can start with any meditation. Finally, as you gain concentration, you definitely will see, you will definitely fall into this theme of impermanence. I think that is very good question. I want to give this message to the whole world of Vipassana meditators. Not only one or two or few of you, but everyone that wants to practice Vipassana meditation, this is the message they all must keep in their mind. Okay. Then next question, not very important, but how many hours does Bhante meditate such that you can see impermanence as icing on a cake? When I have 3 months, every day I meditate more than 2 hours because of my activities. But other times when I don't sit to meditate, while walking I meditate, while eating I meditate, while lying down I meditate, when I go to bed I meditate until I fall asleep. So it's difficult to count. So it's very easy to do impermanent meditation anytime. Just stop and breathe. You can see the breath coming in, coming in, impermanence. So I can say I meditate many hours, all waking moments. Okay. You ask, are there devas who visit you? He asked me. She asked me whether devas visit me. I have 5 devas with me. 5 devas with me. What are they? Shame. Shame is called hiri. Hiri ottappa, hiri. Shame to do wrong things. Then Sri means my pleasure, my joy, my happiness. That is my second devata, divine being. Third divine being, my wisdom. My wisdom is my devata, my divine being. Fourth divine being is my energy. I am 93 years old. I have still energy when I come to Dhamma. I have energy. That's my fourth devata, fourth divine being. Fifth divine being is my reputation. I don't want to damage my reputation. That is my fifth divine being. I have 5 divine beings. They visit me every day. Okay. Last question. Is Nibbana a state where the person has achieved the ability to stop time and space? Actually, question has to be refreshed, rearranged, reformat. If you ask the Nibbana state where the person has, we have to eliminate the person. If you kept it as a state, Nibbana is a state where time and space stop. That is true. Yes, Nibbana is a state where time and space stop. Don't put person there. Then you contradict and you will, Buddha would reprimand you. If you were to ask this question, the Buddha, he would reprimand, no, don't ask this question. So, Nibbana is a state where time and space stop. I think with this we have to stop this discussion.
Thank you, Bhante. Actually, there are 2 more questions that they sent me. So, do you have time for 2 last questions, Bhante, on your talk, Kamma?
Okay.
Okay. The first one is, we want to cultivate good karma. We want to avoid cultivating bad karma. Is that a duality? How to cultivate non-attachment to good and bad karma? Is this question also a sort of desire? Thank you, Bhante.
Right. You have a desire to commit wholesome karma. A desire not to commit unwholesome karma. That's a desire, surely. Now, desire to commit wholesome karma is wholesome desire. Desire not to commit unwholesome karma also wholesome desire. You need desire to avoid unwholesome karma, to commit wholesome karma. You definitely must have desire. You have to have a desire to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. You have to have a desire to practice meditation. You have to have a desire. That desire to meditate, to practice Noble Eightfold Path is the desire you cultivate to be desireless. Desire you cultivate to practice wholesome Kamma, practice Noble Eightfold Path, is a desire that you are cultivating to be desireless. That's wholesome. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. Okay?
Yes, Bhante. The last question is, are the personality and physical characteristics of a person determined by previous or past karma? How do we
Now,
break the cycle of bad ones and improve the good ones? Thank you, Bhante.
okay, let that be the last question because I'm also tired now.
Yes, Bhante.
Although I have energy to some extent, not endless energy. Yes, you repeat the question again?
Are the personality and physical characteristics?
Now I got the clue. If you think the personality is molded by your Kamma, then you, in a wider sense of the term Kamma, yes, but narrower sense of the Kamma, no. Wider sense of the Kamma is that you do things intentionally to mold your character. So you have to speak, you have to think, and you have to act with intention. Therefore, they all are Kammas. But in the narrower sense, if you attribute everything to Kamma, then you are fatalistic. There are so many things that environment, circumstances, parents, relatives, friends, teachers, associates, food, and climate, and so forth affect. When so many variety of factors affect our life, over which we don't have control, for instance, the global warming affect our life. Climate change affect our life. Chemical used to cultivate vegetable and so forth affect our life. We have no control over them. And that also can change our mood, our thinking, our health, our character, our behavior, and so forth. And when we take all these many variable factors into consideration, we cannot say that we are responsible for all these things. That is not our Kamma. So, thank you very much. You are very enthusiastic group. I hope this discussion, is very valuable discussion for all meditators, all seekers of Dhamma, and you can share this information with anybody you like.